Good afternoon, I'm Dan Schaefer. We are interrupting our regular programming briefly to bring you this special report, a news conference with the Huntsville Police Department regarding the shooting death of one of their officers killed in the line of duty yesterday. Let's listen in.
And speak about the life of this officer in our department. And then we're going to have the mayor of the city of Huntsville come up, Tommy Battle, and say a few words. And also Madison County Sheriff Kevin Turner would like to say a few words. On behalf of the Chief's office, I would like to say this will be a press conference where we will not be answering questions. As you can imagine, there's a criminal prosecution that will be coming forth, and we will not be discussing details of that case today. We will let you know and give you an update when we can give you details in the coming days. There will be a photo of the offender that you can see on JailView in about an hour. If you would please send your emails for confirmation, I can do some confirmation of some data at that time. So again, we appreciate the love and support of this community, city officials, and all the organizations that have reached out to us. Now I'm going to have Chief Mark McMurray come up to say a few words.
Thank you, Lieutenant, and thank you all for showing up today. What a tremendous outpouring of support and grief already from the community. This means so much. Men and women of the Huntsville Police Department are all struggling today. And as you see behind me, the kind of support is why we're here. When I arrived in the parking lot early this morning, the sun had just come up. I was greeted by a citizen who had a 3-year-old girl, 2 oranges in her hand. She just wanted to give it to a police officer. I was the first one she saw. That's why these people behind me do what they do. Thank you. The reason we're here at this site is because you're standing on a site, $1 million piece of property right here that was built by the citizens of this community, the public. The private donations from the businesses and the citizens paid for this memorial that you see behind me. To remember that there are people willing to put their lives in harm's way, and every once in a while, we win most of them, but every once in a while, what happens last night happens. And we're wounded, and we're hurting, but we're going to get through this. And I promise you, Huntsville, there's still 60 officers out there on the street right now answering calls. These people behind me, for the most part, are off duty. They came here because I asked for them to. They're not getting paid. They're here to let you know that we haven't given up. We're here because I need to release the name of this hero who gave his life last night. His name is STAC Agent Billy Fred Clardy III. Billy Clardy was preceded in death by his father, Billy Clardy, whose name is on the memorial directly in front of me. Died as a Huntsville police officer in 1978. Pretty soon we're going to put his son's name right next to his father's. 2 law enforcement officers, father and son. Billy was hired in 2005 by the Huntsville Police Department, but a lot of people don't realize that he came to us with former law enforcement as a sergeant in Fayetteville, as a Limestone County Sheriff Deputy. He's been in law enforcement and in a service-oriented field his whole life. Just in his career with us, he has 19 certificates of commendation, 2 outstanding unit citations in the anti-crime unit, which he served in, one of our street crime level units. He has 8 letters of appreciation for service. A lot of people don't realize Billy Clardy has a military service award. He was a serviceman. He has awards from the U.S. Army. He wore those proudly. He served in the global war of terrorism and has a medal because of his military service. He has a National Defense Medal, an Army Service Medal, an Overseas Service Ribbon. Billy Clardy was more than a Huntsville hero. He was an American hero. He has a Meritorious Service Award by the Huntsville Police Department. He won the Partnership for a Drug-Free Community for serving in the Madison-Morgan County HIDTA Drug Task Force, which is funded through ONDCP, the National Drug Office Council. And that was for his distinguished and dedicated service. Just this year, in October of this year, he won that award. He was also Exchange Officer Club of the Year. He was Officer of the Year awarded through the Exchange Club. And the reason they did that, because he made over 178 arrests in 1 year. 2018, he was selected to work in the STAC unit because of his knowledge, his performance on the street, and because everything he did for the Huntsville Police Department since 2005 was in North Huntsville. He knew North Huntsville. He knew the drug scene. He knew everybody. In fact, Billy Clardy is survived by a wife, by 5 children, 2 brothers. His mother's still alive. He has a very large family that I promised I would not get into because, number 1, I would forget some of them, and number 2, we'd be here all day. Everyone knows the Clardy family in North Huntsville. But he's also survived by tons of law enforcement. The people you see behind me right now are not just Huntsville Police. I have officers here from Tennessee. I have sheriff deputies from counties all around North Alabama. I have chiefs of police and sheriffs. They're all here today just to say thank you and to let you know how much this officer, how much he meant. Many of you remember his job as a community resource officer. Billy knew all the homeless in Huntsville. He knew where every homeless camp was. He knew the phone numbers of every person who had one in the homeless camps, and he took a great deal of care and love dealing with our homeless. And that helped him so much because they need help and they would call Billy. And the Community Resource Officer program provided that assistance to them, and he's very well known for what he did there. He also worked as a training officer with the Huntsville Police Department, training our cadets. He was an Archon instructor in the academy, which is self-defense. He was a mobile field force, which is a very extensively trained unit in the Huntsville Police Department. Now, these are just a few things that I pulled from his 201 file in the last 5 minutes. And I could go on. I have other pages. I'm going to stop at this point because, as you can tell, he's a highly distinguished officer. He knew what he was doing. His father gave his life before him. So we all know what we do when we wear this uniform and we try to do the best we can for our community. This time, I want to turn it over to Mayor Battle, who did not have to be there. I tried to get him to stay on vacation. He flew back from out of state this morning, pulled into my office, threw on his coat and tie because he's straight off of vacation, and we're all suffering this morning. But what a great privilege it is to work for a man like Mayor Battle. And Mayor, I'd like to come up and address the crowd real quick, if you mind.
Thank you, Chief. Thursday night, we swore in 24 young cadets who were going to be new officers for the Huntsville Police Department. Friday morning, we had their graduation. Friday afternoon, tragedy struck. Billy Clardy was killed in the line of duty. The police lost a great officer. Our city and community lost a great advocate. I lost a good friend. Billy Clardy was the first one as I became mayor You go and you do your ride-alongs with the police, and Billy Clardy was the first officer I rode with. And Billy Clardy was the one who came up and brought me the files on the homeless and showed me the pictures of the homeless and all the information on them, because he cared. He cared about those people, and he cared about our community. To Billy's family, I want to say this community's prayers, thoughts, our hearts are with you, every one of you. To Billy's family, this is not a one and done. We're with you forever. As long as you need us, we will be there, and we will be with you. From throughout the state, we have had people call, text, write, thoughts and prayers. Our heart goes out to you. We're thinking of you. Everybody from the governor's office all the way down through elected office, but more important, our whole community is feeling the hurt of losing one of our own. As I came back and went through the airport in Atlanta, people stopped me constantly, and they kept saying, "You're in our thoughts and prayers. Your community's in our thoughts and prayers. Your police force is in our thoughts and prayers." So I got on the plane. People, one right after the other, came by and said, "You're in our thoughts and prayers. Your community, your police force." As I came here, and I see the people who turned out here, and I see a community that is hurting right now. We're all hurting because we lost a little bit of life yesterday when we lost the life of Billy Clardy. But to each of us, what a special gift they gave us. What a special gift they gave us with a Billy Clardy who went out there and protected this community, who was a community advocate, who was also a friend to people throughout this community. As one of the officers told me who worked with him day in and day out, he said he loved his job. He loved this job. He dedicated himself to his family and to his job. And I want to say that Billy Clardy is someone who will be missed, but someone who will set a standard for us as a community. As a community, as a police force, he'll set the standard for us for what we should do in the future and what we should be. And how good a standard is that to be set? To each of you out there, thank you for your thoughts, your prayers. On behalf of the city of Huntsville, I want to say thank you to those people throughout the nation who have sent us thoughts and prayers. To the Clardy family, we're with you. We will be with you as long as you'll put up with us. To the community, we'll suffer, we'll hurt for a little while, but then we'll redefine ourselves, and we'll do as we always do. We'll pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and we'll move forward. And we'll make this a better community. We'll make it a better community because of a young officer named Billy Clardy. Thank you for coming out today. Thank you for being part of this. I'd like to now turn this over to Sheriff Kevin Turner, Sheriff of Madison County. Sheriff?
Clardy family, our prayers are with you. This is a tough day for the city of Huntsville and a tough day for Madison County. But I want everyone to look behind me at the men and women wearing a weapon and a badge, okay? I want you to look at them because it's the finest men and women you will see in the nation that is policing and serving our community here in the city of Huntsville and Madison County. Doesn't matter what badge they wear, whether it's the Sheriff's Department or the City of Madison or HPD. We are a family. And what you see here today is unity. And it's coming together and taking care of one another. Now today is about Billy Clardy. We can sit up here and talk about the defendant all day long, but today's Billy Clardy's time. Billy Clardy woke up yesterday morning and he wouldn't put his gun and badge on to go do something that he loved to do. I worked 20 years in the streets doing gang investigations and violent crime, and I knew Tony. He was a community resource officer, and if you needed to know anything about a particular part of town, you could go ask him. but I've never seen anyone love the job until he went to the STAC office and worked for Lieutenant Mackey, and he loved his job. He loved what he did. And for those of you who do not understand what a STAC agent does on a daily basis, when y'all go to bed at night, they are out here on the streets dealing with the worst of the worst, taking the drugs off our community, out of our community, and making it safer, not only for you as adults, but for our kids. And I stand up here and tell you right now, Billy Clardy would do it all over again right now. I know he would. Everybody that wears a gun and badge would do it all over again. Because everyone that you see behind us, every one of us, when that call is made, they run to danger. But this is what we do in law enforcement. I too, like Billy, was raised by law enforcement. I'm the sheriff of Madison County, but I was raised by Huntsville Police Department. All of this is my family. And that's the way that the city and the county and the city of Madison, that is what we are today. We are a family and we're a unity. So our prayers go out to Billy Clardy and his family. And I don't want ever anyone in this crowd to forget what Billy's done for our community. Over 40 years ago, his dad was killed in the line of duty. Now they're going to be presenting 2 flowers at the Fallen Officers Memorial. Let that sink in. Thank you to the HPD. You guys are all-stars. You guys are awesome, and we love you. Thank you to everyone wearing a gun and badge. Our hearts go out to the police department. Our hearts go out to the Clardies. But we will stand up again. We are a great city. We are a great county, and we will stand up. Thank you.
One question we get quite often is, how do you get through this kind of thing? How does a police officer adjust? How does this change the way he views? Let me tell you, when I woke up this morning and watched the sun come up over a cup of coffee, my first thought was about a wife that woke up without her husband, about 5 children that woke up without their dad, about the grandchildren that will never know their grandfather. That's why we do what we do. Thank you, officers. I appreciate you so much. The rest of our job is to prosecute these people and to make sure justice is done. We're formulating that battle plan right now. One of our partners in this is Jay Town, Northern District Federal Attorney, and he has a message he'd like to bring with us. Without this federal prosecution, we couldn't put all of these serious offenders in jail as quick and hold them as long. And they've been partners with us for many, many years, and we couldn't do what we do without them. So I'd like to introduce Jay Town at this time.
Just a quick message on behalf of President Trump, Attorney General Barr, and the entire Department of Justice. We extend our sincerest condolences to the Clardy family and to the Huntsville Police Department for their loss of Billy. I'm responsible for a lot of communities, but this is a special one. This is my home. It's where I live. It's where my family lives, where my daughter is being raised. And it's a special place, and the men and women in uniform behind me are responsible for our safety. And it's not an easy job. And as we're coming together in this community, as the chief said, is coming together already, what we need to remember is that yesterday we needed the community to be together then. We needed the community to understand that as citizens, if you see something, you should say something, that you need to show respect for officers, that we need your cooperation. We needed that yesterday, and we'll need that tomorrow, because today we need to explain to a wife give her an explanation as to why this defendant was walking around the streets in the first place. We need to explain to these 5 children why their daddy will never come home. We need pallbearers today. So let's take care to remember all of that and what we need to do going forward. This is a special bunch. This is a special time in this community. Mayor Battle said it perfectly. of how wonderful his police department is, and the leadership here is very special. The sheriff is special. The district attorney's office is special. We are very fortunate to be blessed with the leadership that we have in law enforcement in this community. And we need to remember that every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, Mayor, Kevin, and Jay. We appreciate your words of encouragement. I'd just like to remind everyone again, we're not going to be answering questions. So if you could please respect family members that are here and the investigators and the staff. I will communicate with you here in about an hour. Of course, you're going to see that photo up, and I will do that communication via email. Again, thank you for being here, and this press conference is over.
You've been watching a live, very emotional news conference with Huntsville Police Department.